1 Timothy 3. To be a Christian is not to have everything sorted out in your life, nor is it to know exactly how we should choose our lives or how we should plan our lives. God has delegated a lot of free choice to us, and we have free will. He gives us wisdom so that we can decide rightly, but he will not force us. He respects us as persons too much than to do that. He respects our free will. Now, Paul is set up as a model Christian, a pattern for all who would afterward believe in Jesus. You see in his life how he didn't always know which decisions to take. Here in 1 Timothy 3, he writes to Timothy from prison in Rome. He says, "These things I write to you, hoping to come shortly unto you. But if I am delayed, I write to you so that you may know how you ought to behave." Paul didn't know whether he would get to Timothy, who was then in Ephesus. He wanted to go to Ephesus, but he didn't know if he would. He was in prison. He knew he might be, as he puts it, delayed. But in Acts 20, when he was at Ephesus, he left them and told them that he would not be returning to Ephesus. But now, as he writes to Timothy, he thinks he might be able to visit Timothy in Ephesus. So Paul even wrote about his plans to get out of prison in Rome and to go to preach in Spain. But there's no evidence he ever actually did that. He died in Rome. So you see how Paul didn't exactly know God's plans for his life. We also don't have a clear roadmap in front of us. We don't know the path that God is going to take us towards his kingdom. We cannot ultimately attach meaning to event, at least not at the time, but we are to trust in God. To believe, to have faith is really to trust. To trust in God as our loving Father, who is determined, we know, to do us only good at our latter end. He wants to give us eternal life in his kingdom. That's the ultimate horizon. He's determined to develop that plan for us and bring it to fruition, but the road there may have many twists and turns in it, just as Paul thought he would never return to Ephesus at one point, but then he wanted to return there and thought that he might do. So God too can lead us one way and then a different way, because he factors in our free will and what we really want to do in our hearts. We can't see all the factors, nor can we understand all the reasons which God has. But we are to trust that God is in control, that he loves us, that he has a higher plan for us, which is intended to lead to our salvation at the last day.